toasty. Kyle, is it is it pretty warm out there today?
Yeah, it's going to be like 90 degrees right now.
90 degrees. It feels like 90 degrees. So Kyle, give us a 7-day outlook.
So today is going to be sunny skies, a high of 92, winds west-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly clear, low 66. Thursday, afternoon storms, high of 88, chance of rain 50%. Thursday night, scattered storms, low 67, chance of rain 60%. Friday morning showers, high 83, chance of rain 50%. Friday night showers late, low 64, chance of rain 40%. Saturday morning showers to showers widespread in the area, chance of rain 50%, the high of 84 degrees. Saturday night scattered storms, low 67. Chance of rain 60%. Sunday scattered storms, high of 83. Chance of rain 50%. Sunday night partly cloudy, low 63 degrees. Monday afternoon storms, high of 83. Chance of rain 40%. Monday night scattered storms, low 62. Chance of rain 60%. Tuesday, isolated storms, high of 83, chance of rain 30%. Tuesday night, clear skies, low 60. And next Wednesday, mostly sunny skies of a high of 83 and a low of 59.
And I know we often talk about this, Kyle, but you're closely tracking everything COVID-19 related around the globe and in the U.S. and here in the state of Ohio. What are things looking like recently?
So now we're almost to 90,000 cases in the state of Ohio with 3,400,000 deaths. Global, there are now 4.4 million cases and 152,000 deaths. Global, it's approaching 17 million cases and almost 700,000 deaths.
Yeah, so it's staggering. It's staggering, and I know that there's several states here in the United States that are certainly on the rise. I can speak to Athens.
California, Florida, and in South Carolina, Tennessee, New Mexico, and California have been all states are rising right now.
And is Ohio holding steady at this point, Kyle?
Yeah, we're starting to plateau.
Yeah, and I just saw the numbers that came in for today from the Athens City County Health Department, and it looks like we're now at 330 cases, 94 active, and 235 cases that have recovered. So that's in terms of the active cases, it's down somewhat from 104 yesterday to 94, but by no stretch of the imagination are we out of the woods. We've got a long ways to go and need to continue to do the right thing, which is face coverings, which are mandatory in the city of Athens. And now, Kyle, I'm sure you're aware of this. It's mandatory statewide under the governor's directive.
It is statewide.
Statewide. So we need to keep social distancing, washing hands,
use hand sanitizer.
And Kyle just purchased 4 face coverings for his family. He and his family last week that are rather interesting. I think they're pretty cool, and it has the city logo or the city flag as the motif on the face covering itself. So I'm sure you guys have been sporting those around the city and out at Stroud's Run.
Yep, we've been using them all over the city lately.
Yeah. All right. Thanks again, Kyle, as usual, for joining me today.
You're welcome.
In terms of updates, you may notice that there are going to be some wet / potentially slick locations in the city streets, in particular Columbus Road and West Union, where the fire department will continue with their hydrant testing and flushing, something that we do every summer, and do it, again, kind of systematically throughout the city. So just be aware that on Columbus Road and on West Union, that there will be hydrant flushing going on. The Richland Avenue pedestrian passageway, again, is still moving along and looking to have the passageway opened to pedestrian traffic fairly soon. Again, we're looking at mid-August to have that opened up, and then they will continue working on the roadway and the crash rails on the sides. But again, that project seems to be, at this point, moving along nicely, and the weather this summer has been pretty conducive to them being able to stay on track. The other thing is that starting Friday morning, and will follow on through Monday, August 3rd, so the 31st of July through the 3rd of August, milling will begin on the Richland Avenue Roundabout. Again, this is the former traffic signaled intersection of 682 and Richland Avenue, which is our first roundabout in the city of Athens. There will be paving going on down there and hoping to wrap that up by Monday afternoon. We wanted to get that project done well in advance of Ohio University opening up to whatever form of instruction they're going to be utilizing this summer. So that's going on. And then what you'll see is after that project, or that portion of the street repaving is completed, then they'll migrate on to all the other identified locations in the city to start the repaving. And some of the repaving is going to be spot repaving. In other words, they may mill and repave a section that is in pretty bad shape that might be 20, 50 feet long, sometimes less, but much needed. And then they will go right on down the list of the streets that truly do need to be repaved. Streets like Applegate and many others in the city will be addressed over this summer with the repaving schedule. So that's going to be going on. But again, starting Friday and being completed on Monday, August 3rd, will be the Richland Avenue Roundabout. Something else, just to update the citizens on, something that I'm working with City Council on, as well as other members of my administration, is looking at potentially making a grant to be administered to the Hocking Athens Perry Community Action organization to create rent/mortgage relief for people that are being significantly impacted by COVID-19 and are at risk of possibly being evicted or having their mortgage foreclosed due to employment loss during the COVID-19 pandemic. The CARES Act money that we've received from the federal government, and it moved through the state and then county and then on to us, was about $460,000. It's fairly restrictive in terms of what the city can use the money for, has a lot of guidelines associated with it. But one of the things that we know that we can do is that we can create grants to create relief for citizens in our community that might be, again, struggling due to the impacts of COVID-19. So there will be more to follow on that as a piece of legislation comes before City Council and then migrates its way through from committee on to the regular sessions for the typical 3 readings and to get something like that in place. So that's something to kind of watch for. The last thing that I want to share is that I have been on multiple meetings at the federal level, discussing with congressional staffers ways in which we can possibly get a level of relief or alternative ways to have our citizens counted for the 2020 census. One of the things that we experienced early on with the COVID-19 pandemic and the mass exodus of our student body at Ohio University is that it happened right before enumeration began. There is a new feature to being counted in the 2020 census, and that is online enumeration. You can always phone in or mail in your census forms, which is simple and easy to do, or you can do it online. But unfortunately, with the exodus of all the students as COVID-19 really started to affect our community and the state of Ohio, we have been tracking very closely the census tracts that are in the city. There are 6 of them, 2 of which are in the areas of the city where there are the vast majority of the units there are rental units. A lot of former homes that were converted into rental units, also apartment complexes. Those areas for off-campus student housing have proven to be pretty difficult, especially since the students have been gone for much of the summer as well as last spring. And we're doing everything we can to reach out to the students in order to be counted under the enumeration process. But we're trying to get some relief from the federal government and from the Census Bureau in different ways in which we could be enumerated. One of the things we're hoping is that we have students that did list their local address with the registrar's office. The Census Bureau has approved college towns to use the registrar's office data that would reflect that an individual was living off campus in a local address during that period of time when the pandemic hit and they all migrated off campus and moved either back home or moved somewhere. But that is not always the case that an individual will list their local address. Instead, they will have listed their permanent address, which could be their parents' address anywhere in the United States, quite literally. And so that becomes a challenge as well. My big concern is Ohio University students who filed for graduation or applied for graduation, which would have been May 1st and 2nd. And it was roughly 3,500 individuals. Those individuals who graduated are likely not to be returning to Athens again. Instead have gotten employment somewhere or gone on to graduate school. Some may have stayed, but I would imagine that the vast majority have moved on elsewhere. And that becomes a real problem. That becomes a problem that if we were to lose even half of that count of those individuals because they are gone, it could amount to close to $2 million, a little more than $2 million a year for every year of the next 10 year, up until the next decennial census, which would be 2030. So about $20 million total over that 10-year period of time. And that's money that comes to the city of Athens in the form of community development block grants, which helps us with our neighborhood improvements, our street improvements, things of that nature, as well as using money in our more distressed neighborhoods for our water or sewer system. The money also goes to other entities such as Jobs and Family Services or to the school district or to senior services. So the allocation that normally comes down to the counties, which is based upon the census, we could see a pretty large undercount in the city of Athens if we aren't able to recapture those. So we are working very hard to make sure that we can get a complete count and a better count than we had in 2010, which would mean an increase in funding to the city of Athens Otherwise, it could be fairly devastating in terms of revenue loss if we are undercounted. So I'm working with Congress to look at other options that are out there, and then also working with Congress to see with the COVID-19 relief funds to kind of loosen up the restrictions that are placed upon municipalities, ours, as well as all the other municipalities across the state of Ohio, to look into other ways in which we can utilize the money that has been allocated to us. The last thing that I have is that I have a proclamation that I would like to read to everybody. This is one of my favorites, albeit Ohio Brew Week is not happening this year, didn't happen this year. And so I was asked by the executive director for Ohio Brew Week, Brandon Thompson, if I would read a proclamation declaring the month as well as, or at least a period of time, but to include a particular day in honor of one of our cherished community members and families here in Athens. So let me get into this. Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas the City of Athens recognizes Ohio Brew Week's 15th year anniversary and celebrates all that this festival contributes to our community and the great state of Ohio. And whereas we also recognize the significant contributions Ohio Brew Week and the City of Athens has in cultivating a long-standing and pivotal role in the Ohio craft brew industry. And whereas today we continue to honor John Sparhawk, founder of the Ohio Brew Week, and his family. We celebrate his vision and how successful this event has become. Now, therefore, I, Steve Patterson, the mayor of the City of Athens, Ohio, do hereby proclaim Friday, July 31st through Saturday, August 8th of 2020 as Ohio Brew Week, virtual Ohio Brew Week, and Tuesday, August 4th, 2020 as John Sparhawk Day in the City of Athens, and encourage everyone to give back to the community in some way and wear a flowered shirt in John's honor. I would also like to point out on the 4th of August, if you are in the Uptown area, and in particular on West Union between Court and Congress, please look up at the honorary street sign and salute John Sparhawk as we honored John and his family with that honorary street naming. I believe it was last year, and I still smile every time I walk by the Hawaiian shirt colored background for the John Sparhawk Way signs that are on West Union between Court and Congress. That's all I have. I will forever remind people, please, not only is it mandatory in the City of Athens and the state of Ohio to wear a face covering, it is your responsibility. It is your duty to your fellow citizens to protect them and all of us by wearing a face covering when you're out in public or you're entering into a business that is open to the public. And when you're outdoors, again, if you can maintain social distancing, that is wonderful. But if you can't, you need to mask up, cover up, because it's for the betterment of our entire community so that we can continue to be safe. And again, looking at our numbers, we had an increase of 4 cases today, which is a far cry from the 29 cases that we had 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago now, where we were seeing, double-digit increases. But we can't take our foot off the gas when it comes to what we can do to protect others as well as ourselves against COVID-19. Please tune in again next week for the next installment of the Mayor's Weekly Update. So take care, and hopefully we'll see you next week.